Women's college basketball is seeing an explosion in popularity due to the Caitlin Clark effect and how competitive the game has become over the past few seasons. But had this all come to be? Well, to find out the answer to that question, we need to go all the way back to the late 2000s and mid-2010s and look at the dominant run the UConn's Women's Huskies basketball team would proceed to go on. I believe UConn Women's basketball is the reason for this surge in popularity because it forced schools to invest more money into their programs and provide more resources. This is the story of the UConn Women's basketball team. This is the story of the most dominant basketball team in college basketball history. But before we get into this, if you enjoy college sports and spring league football content like this, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. Also, let me know who you think wins this year's women's national title in the comment section below. UConn women's basketball began in 1974 when they were coached by Sandra Hamm, Wanda Flora, and Jean Balthaser, who all struggled throughout the first decade of the program's history, as they would only experience one winning season throughout that period. That was until the arrival of Gino Auriemma. Auriemma is originally from Montella in southern Italy, but when he was young, his family would immigrate over to the United States and settle in Norristown, Pennsylvania. Gino graduated from Westchester University in 1977 and began coaching at Bishop McDevitt High School before being hired at St. Joseph serving as an assistant. He would then return to where he went to high school serving as an assistant coach at Bishop Kenrick High School from 1979 to 1981. Then, Virginia women's basketball would come calling, choosing to hire him as an assistant, and he would serve in that role until 1985 when UConn came calling. The decision to hire Auriemma was part of the university's commitment to better fund women's sports, and Auriemma would almost bring instant success to the school after a rough 12-15 season his first year, when he led them to their second winning season in program history the following season. Auriemma's losing season in 1985 is his only losing season as head coach at UConn. In 1988 and 1989, Gino would lead the school to their first ever 20-plus winning season, first conference title, and first appearance in the NCAA tournament. The program would make their first Final Four appearance in 1991 with a 29-5 record, but would lose to Virginia 61-55. In the 1994-1995 season, UConn would finish their first undefeated season with a 35-0 record, winning the school's first national title in women's basketball. They would win national titles again in 2000, 2002, 2003, and 2004, cementing themselves as one of women's college basketball's most premier programs, one of the sport's best dynasties at the time, as they would lose 9 games during that 5-year period. The program would continue to dominate through the mid-2000s, but would not make it back to the Final Four until 2008, where they lost to Stanford 82-73. That loss to Stanford would be the program's last loss for almost 2.5 years, as the Huskies basketball team would go on a 90-game win streak, winning 2 national titles and becoming the best and worst thing for women's college basketball. Tom Sisti wrote back in December of 2010, "Let's be honest, if it wasn't for UConn's remarkable run, then nobody would be talking about women's basketball. Not today, not tomorrow, not next month, probably not even next March." Maya Moore became a household name during this time period, as she was the sport's best player in the game. Some may say she was the Caitlin Clark before Caitlin Clark. But at the same time, this 90-game win streak also hurt the sport because UConn was beating everybody, including top 25 teams, by 30 points or more on any given night. The talent the Huskies had on their squad compared to others was unreal. They broke UCLA's men's basketball record of 88 straight wins, but would lose to Stanford, ironically, when they lost 71-59. UConn's dominance during this streak drew considerable attention to women's college basketball, both for the sports fans and the media. The streak generated excitement and brought more viewership to women's basketball, contributing to the sport's growth and popularity. UConn's success during the streak helped elevate the profile of women's sports in general. It demonstrated the skill, athleticism, and competitiveness of women's college basketball at the collegiate level, challenging stereotypes and garnering respect from female athletes. For UConn's 90-game win streak, no one really talked about women's college basketball, even though the Huskies had a 70-game win streak only a few years beforehand. UConn would be shocked by Notre Dame in the Final Four that year, losing 72-63. Many wondered if UConn could go on another insane winning streak, and the program would take a slight step back the following year. They had their worst finish in conference play since 1993, when they finished third in the Big East, but still made it to the Final Four. While the Huskies women's basketball program would take a step back in 2012, so too would the coverage of the sport as a whole. UConn would win another national title in 2013 and followed that up with a 40-0 season, becoming the first NCAA Division I women's basketball team to go undefeated and win every game by double digits. Sophomore Breanna Stewart would emerge as a star, becoming the sport's most dominant player at the time. It would have a 47-game win streak ended by Stanford once again, but that would set up a more special record for the program. Once again, UConn would take over the sport of women's college basketball, putting another stranglehold on the sport as they proceeded to win 111 straight games, breaking their 90-game record. What made this version of the streak even more impressive was the fact that Auriemma tried to schedule the toughest out-of-conference schedule he could to prepare his teams for the tournament come the end of the year. He regularly emphasized to his players that each win must be earned and nothing can be taken for granted. After the team, which had begun the season ranked number 3, beat previously number 1 ranked Notre Dame in early December, he noted that the Huskies probably wouldn't even know their winning streak stretched to more than 2 years, if not for the media. The streak would be ended when UConn would lose to Mississippi State in the 2017 Final Four, which ended in overtime with a final score of 66-64, as Morgan Williams would hit a game-winning buzzer beater. The streak lasted 867 total days, and during the streak, 108 of the games were won by double digits, with only 3 games coming down to the wire. They had 81 wins, ranked as the number 1 team in the nation, won 61 games by a score larger than 40 points, beat 29 ranked teams, had 9 wins over top 5 teams, including multiple wins over the then number 2 teams in the nation, and their largest margin of victory was by 65 points when they beat number 20 South Florida 103-37. When they actually tied the original longest winning streak record. At the time, UConn was looking to win their 5th straight national title and 7th title in 9 years, but those dreams would be dashed and UConn would lose in the Final Four the next 4 tournaments, before losing in the 2022 national title game and losing in the Sweet 16 for the first time since 2005 last year. The loss in the title game in 2022 was the first time UConn had made it to the title game but not won it. Heading into this year, Paige Becker decided to return to UConn after missing all of last season, and since returning, she's been playing well, being named the Big East Player of the Year and was projected to be a top 3 pick in this year's WNBA draft, but announced she would be returning to UConn next season. Ice Brady also missed most of last year with a knee injury and has been an important role player this season. Today, women's college basketball is probably the most popular it's ever been in the history of the game. A lot of that has to attribute to UConn. Gino Auriemma is 1,211 and 161 as head coach at UConn and has won 11 national titles and made 22 Final Four appearances as head coach. By dominating for so long, UConn forced other schools to step up their games if they wanted to compete, and schools have answered the call in recent years. A growing talent pool choosing various programs all over the country, the transfer portal and other schools' commitments of resources have expanded the number of potential national championship contenders year in and year out. It has led to players like Caitlin Clark choosing to stay home and build up Iowa rather than choosing to play at a place like UConn or South Carolina. Watching the greatness of Caitlin Clark and how great South Carolina and LSU have been over the past few seasons have really elevated the women's game when it comes to college basketball. Last year's viewership for March Madness was up 55% compared to the previous year. Every round saw at least a double-digit increase in audience, and last year's title game featured Iowa and LSU was the most viewed women's college basketball game on record, with 9.9 million viewers. The game is growing at an unprecedented rate, and that has a lot to do with the 2 record-breaking winning streaks the Huskies went on in the late 2000s and mid-2010s. What do you think? Are UConn's winning streaks the reason for women's college basketball being so successful today? Let me know in the comment section below. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to check out one of my other videos YouTube thinks you will love right here. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, remember to embrace the grind.